Jupiter Broadcasting presents this show in mega stereo sound. This episode of the Linux Action Show brought to you in part by GoDaddy.com. Use the promo code Linux and save yourself some cash. And of course, from donations of people that are, it's like people get donated, you know? And it's free. It's free. It's tax exempt.
No, it's not.
No, when you donate people, it is. It's
donate people.
Right.
But
You can't, Chris, you can't put worth on person.
This week on the Linux Action Show, games are rushing to Linux, and we cover some of the most original. Plus, we dig into the mysterious new backer of the Kubuntu Project. Plus, a Gmail power tip for Linux users, and so much more. Oh, this week on the Linux Action Show. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. And welcome to Season 21, Episode 5 of the Linux Action Show. My name is Brian, with me as Chris.
Hey there, Brian. Check it out. It's true. Even a hairdryer runs Linux. This was submitted over on our subreddit.
Wait. Chris, what am I looking at here?
Well, look at you see the nozzle of the hairdryer right there, right? Hand dryer.
Oh, I was thinking like a handheld hairdryer, and I was like, what the hell is this?
You know what it is he titled it hairdryer, but it's actually a hand dryer.
Oh.
I thought so. I did say hairdryer because I read the title.
Wait, it has a screen?
Yeah, look at that's Linux right there. See, lock file in /temp/ and then it's got the lock name.
Server crash.
Yeah,
That's rough.
Kernel 2.6.30 ZORA, and then I can't see the rest.
Way to go.
But yeah, it's a hand dryer that's running Linux. There you go. So now we have finally claimed dominance over the hair dryer. It's like going to the moon and planting your
flag.
flag.
Anyone have information about what exactly this fancy, amazing, with a screen hairdryer does that it needs to run Linux? Like
I bet you know what it is.
I'm not against things running Linux. Like, refrigerator runs Linux? Yes. Toaster runs Linux? Yes. But hair dryer?
Chat room's like, is this real?
Seriously, because
yeah,
I'm looking at this, and it looks like a console from Star Trek The Next Generation with a hairdryer nozzle stuck on the bottom.
I think what it is have you seen those gas stations that have video ads playing when you're pumping gas?
So when you're drying your hands, you're watching an ad?
Isn't that horrible?
That is horrible.
Yeah. It's yikes. Oof. Man, we got a big show today, B-Man. A big show.
Holy Lord, we do.
Coming up in the second half of the show, Matt's back, and he's got a tip for Gmail users and Linux users. If you want to click on Mail 2 links and have an open up in Gmail, boom.
Now, let's be honest. When we say Matt's back, what we mean is we haven't been able to get rid of Matt. We've been trying. We've heard your pleas. You email us. Thousands upon thousands of you have emailed us so far. Please, silence Matt. Put him in a box somewhere. Throw him over the deck, into the water, concrete shoes, mafia style this man. We tried. We did exactly what you asked. He came back. He's like that cat came back the very next day sort of thing, except he's the Matt that came back, and he just wouldn't stay away.
Dude, I'll tell you, actually, it's kind of the opposite of that. I think people, if they had came down to like vote him off the island, we'd be getting voted off, and Matt'd be running the show.
I think I got voted off a long time ago.
People love his how-to segments, and it's good, because we've been doing the show for so long that we kind of forget some of the segments, things we haven't covered. And Matt's been able to kind of look over the catalog and be like, we need to cover this and cover that. And he's just
case in point. Today, when you were doing the what runs Linux, didn't you have that exact problem?
Well, yeah, I almost did a pick I've done before.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We've done 200 and some
205
runs Linux.
Yeah.
After a while, you run out of good you don't know what you've done before.
Thankfully, Linux doesn't really slow down. I mean, now we've dominated the hand dryer. So
it's funny. As I was putting together today's thing, I was like, okay, I'm going to find a great application that runs on Linux.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it struck me. I didn't think I'd done Battle for Westnoth before.
Okay.
But I wasn't sure.
Right.
And it's gotten long enough now, the list of apps that we've picked, that I eventually got bored of looking through them all to try and see if I've used it before. Yeah. So I just didn't pick it and had to go find something else that I knew I hadn't picked.
It's funny though, in the grand scheme of things, that still kind of feels like a new addition to the show, but we've been doing it for a while now.
You know what we should do? We should start a new subreddit that's Laz _have I picked this?
Yeah.
And we'll just post it. Have I picked this yet? And you guys crowdsource and tell us if we have.
I always just do a Google site search to see if I've done it before, and that always gives it away. All right, well, B-Man, before we go on to the rest of the show.
Look at you using internet tools.
I've got one of my most favorite Android picks in like a long time. I really like my app pick. You have got an amazing desktop pick and a great random distro. Plus,
That isn't Battle for Westnoth.
we got a couple announcements we want to make here at the top of the show. But
We
before
do.
we get to all of that, we should say good morning
Danica.
to beautiful Danica Patrick.
Hi, Danica.
Danica Patrick.
Man, look at you pronouncing her
I know,
name
right? Over at GoDaddy.com. And
GoDaddy.com.
I couldn't resist. So GoDaddy.com has 2 deals right now for the Linux Action Show audience. If you use the code 599COM8 when you check out, you can get a .com for $5.99.
That's pretty great.
Up to 5 of them.
I want to repeat that, though. It's 599COM8.
Yeah. Also,
Weird.
the one I just took advantage of was Spring 8 because I actually decided to go for a .me domain. And so if you use the code Spring8, you save 15% off anything. And I kind of went on a bit of a purchasing splurge. Check it out. I bought filterfree.me.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's going to be like a living record of show notes that I'm working on for the Unfilter show that is going to be coming up, probably like after Linux Fest.
Yeah.
And you can do things in here like I'm building in like real-time search and stuff like that. But I wanted to have something that would live outside the Jupiter Broadcasting domain because it's sort of big on its own.
Yeah.
Filterfree.me.
That's adorable.
I know, dude. And I used the checkout code Spring8 and I saved 15% over at GoDaddy.com. And I threw that bad boy on a GoDaddy shared host.
Fancy, dude. GoDaddy shared hosting, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Lunduke.com runs off of that, and
I know.
with all the like literally, I don't say this because I'm like Mr. Biggity Hotshot. Pretty cool though. But the website, it's just getting so much traffic the last few weeks. I mean, it is just like blistering. I had a dedicated box over at another host recently.
Yeah.
And if it got half the traffic that I'm getting off of this shared host, I'd be like, oh, it would be hurting.
Yeah.
I'd have to make sure I got every sort of caching I could turned on. I'd have to, button everything down and make everything non-dynamic and really optimize the hell out of everything. GoDaddy just handles it for like 3.5 cents a year or some ridiculous price.
Right. I think you just pay them in rainwater. It's a pretty good deal.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
One dirty rainwater bucket, and I get 1 year practically of Linux shared hosting, and it doesn't buckle. It's never
There's
buckled.
probably a little goat saliva in that bucket too, but
There's goat saliva and everything.
All right, let's talk about my Android pick because it's a great one, and for you news hounds out there, you're going to check it out, and it's free. It's called Bacon Reader. And Bacon Reader's grabs you by the name right there, right?
Yeah.
Plus the logo kind of designs itself,
I like reading
really.
Bacon, yeah.
But it is sort of a beautiful front end to Reddit. There's other Reddit apps in there like Alien Reddit and things like that.
They're terrible,
Blue
though.
Reddit. They have issues, right? This is very nice, very smooth. It's sort of like
good.
It's sort of a member of that next generation Android UI type apps that look a little bit better. It's got some nice touch features in there. It's got some share. You got your stats in there and things like that. It's called Bacon Reader.
Oh.
It's a free app in the Android market.
No. It's an Android Play.
In the Android market.
You mean Google Play?
Nope.
Google Play.
You can also
you click on Play and then you install something for working.
This is just it's a great reader, and you can see it's got an average 4.3 rating, 5 stars. And
it actually does look really nice.
It's been just recently updated on the 3rd of April.
I've been looking for a decent Reddit client.
Yeah, that's a good way to consume your Reddit.
Bad.
Because sometimes the Reddit webpage can be, a little
terrible.
Yeah.
Slow, kind of ugly,
exactly.
disorganized, and absolutely unusable on a mobile device.
Yeah. All right, B-Man, you ready for your desktop app pick? Because I want to talk about this one.
Absolutely, I am. It is Synergy. Now, Synergy runs on Windows and Mac.
That's true.
But we don't really care about that so much. It runs on Linux, and here's what it does. It allows you to share your mouse, your keyboard, and your clipboard between every machine you've got it running on. So here's what you do. You set up one machine to be your server, and you set up your other machines to be your client. And the server machine has your mouse, your keyboard. That's the only machine you need a mouse and keyboard connected to.
Right.
All the other machines running the client, you can just seamlessly move your mouse and keyboard over to those other machines. And what's great is the clipboard follows you. Now, clipboard data can get a little funky between machines and between platforms, but basic text, paste, copy, and pasting works perfect. So it's awesome. So if you're, let's say, a developer that needs to make software for multiple platforms, you can copy and paste seamlessly between multiple machines for your code. It's just glorious.
Synergy is one of those applications that's on my list of shame because I've checked it out. I know all about it. I've watched videos. I've downloaded the installers, and I've just never done it. And I am in the perfect position. I could totally use something like this.
It's so great.
So Synergy,
absolutely great.
Synergy-foss.org is where you can find it, or link in the show notes, along with Mad Joe's links to both the Android app picks and the desktop picks. Thank you to Mad Joe for
choice.
That. All right, B-Man, it's time for the random distro.
Whoa, yeah, it is. The random distro this week is... Spin it. Stop it right there. It's Simplest. It's Simplest Linux. Simplest Linux
All right.
is just very, very lightweight. I believe it's an open box based Debian. It looks nice.
It does look very nice. Very nice light.
It's just a lightweight
Runs on the i486 architecture. So
i486 architecture.
there you go.
Hot diggity.
There you go.
I mean, basically, this is Debian, very stripped down, running open box. So if you like Crunch Bang and like Arch Bang and the various other open boxy bangs,
right.
here's a Debian bang. Here's a simple, non-Ubuntu based
Bang
Debian
Debian.
open box. It looked kind of nice that way.
They boast that they rock dynamic menus and that OpenBox rocks, which I can't really argue with that.
OpenBox is pretty cool.
solid
Yeah,
logic.
you can't go wrong there.
Okay. All right, well, looks like a good pick there, B-Man.
I have not run it.
No, neither have
I have looked at screenshots though.
That's why we make him the random distro pick. Because
All right.
yeah.
So,
All right, B-Man, you want to talk about...
is that literally why we do that?
Yes.
Nice!
Yeah.
Linux Fest Northwest.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks,
man.
actually from this weekend, is Linux Fest Northwest 2012. Now, if you've been following us for a little while now, you know we every year go on up to Linux Fest and we rock that place into the ground.
It's Linux Action Show Fest. No,
It's kind of. So we go up there. It's hosted at Bellingham Technical College, which they have to rebuild every year after Linux Fest. And what we tend to do, we've had a kind of a running thing. I do a session up there every year called Why Linux Sucks.
What?
And every year we
to...
talk about why Linux sucks, and it's kind of a big venting session for a lot of people, and they're like, I hate GNOME 3, oh, that's why Linux sucks, oh, or something like that.
It's also guaranteed to have good attendance when you put why Linux sucks in the title of the presentation.
Yeah, no, it kind of gets people's attention. Yeah. And anyway, so this year I'll be there giving my traditional Why Linux Sucks session, which is an all-new session with all new reasons why Linux sucks and all that good stuff.
I'm sure.
And then it's followed up with one more session by me. I don't know if you wanna bring that up there, Chris.
There's your one. Now, see, what they should do is put both your sessions here.
Theoretically, they should be back to back, but they haven't posted the specific schedule yet here. But there is one more session, which is why Linux does not suck, not even a little.
Not even a little.
It's that's my other session. So theoretically,
that's nice.
They'll be back to back. So you find out why it sucks, and then you find out why it doesn't suck at all.
But what if they're not back to back? That would be, well, you can still make it work.
From the description of why Linux does not suck, it basically says some bozo here at Linux Fest has a session called Why Linux Sucks. Now, well, he's wrong. Not only is Linux great, etc., etc., etc.
Oh, that's great, dude. I didn't read that. That's a really good.
No, basically that's the whole thing. Is the Why Linux Sucks guy is completely wrong. A total dork.
Who is that guy? Right?
And he just needs to get off of his big old high horsey soapbox and come down to the real life because Linux is awesome.
And
that's that session.
And then I'll have a session Why Windows 8 rocks. No, jeez, not at all. Actually, I'm not sure what my plans are. I was thinking about. I don't know. Are you going both days, Saturday and Sunday?
You know, I don't know. I'll be there at least one day. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking I'll probably just be there Saturday, but I don't know.
That's what I was thinking because last year we tried to do the show from there, but it came out kind of wonky. So I'd rather almost go like Saturday, get a bunch of footage,
and then you got the actual
and then do like
show.
a clip show on Sunday.
That'd be great.
Well, if you're around on Sunday, we can do that. Otherwise, if you're up there, maybe we'll Skype you while you're up there.
Oh, that'd
one
be
of
fun.
your like 11 devices you'll bring. So
probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, if you're anywhere near the general western half of the North American, et cetera, check out Linux Fest. It goes all weekend. If you can go only one day, Saturday's the day to go. It's always packed on Saturday. Sunday it kind of dwindles down, and it's kind of just this chilled, everyone's a little hungover hangout fest for Sundays. But Saturdays is just hopping. And I've heard from a lot of people. There's going to be a big representation from the OpenSUSE guys there again this year.
I've heard from actually a few people in the audience and a few people in the subreddit saying they're going. So
and there's a couple other smaller shows that are going to be there this year. So that should be a lot of fun.
You know, somebody pointed out in the chat room that you might want to consider, if you can have enough time, to grow a mustache for the first Why Linux Sucks segments, and then shave it off for the Why Linux.
Get a little goatee.
Yeah.
If I could get just a little I'm evil goatee.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
So that'll be in 2 weeks. That's Linux Fest in 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks.
But next week, the big show is reviewing Ubuntu 12.04.
Yes, sir.
Tune in for that. And if you can, go to jblive.tv at 10 a.m. Pacific, because we'll be taking your input from the live chat room as we review Ubuntu 12.04.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've been running it for a long time now, and so I've been watching the development since about Beta 1 pretty closely, and going to be very fun to talk about.
It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about.
It's a big release for them,
too.
The
first long-term support release with Unity and their whole new UI. It's going to be glorious.
One last shout out before we move on to the news is, we talked a lot about the Vivaldi tablet, the AKA Spark tablet.
Yep.
But also I wanted to give a shout out to some fans of the show over at opentablets.org. This is probably for anybody in the audience who is sort of really following the whole tablet revolution with some passion. Hopefully, we'll see some more hardware that's sort of general purpose that people can get their hands on. And these guys are on the forefront of all of that stuff. So check out opentablets.org. And they have right there on one of their posts right now, which is pretty interesting, is they have the teardown, the Vivaldi with a video there of Aaron.
And boom, Aaron's head all huge.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so check out opentablets.org. They seem like some pretty cool dudes.
Sounds
Fans of
rocking.
the show.
Love it.
All right, B-Man, let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
Oh, B-Man, brace yourselves. The top story in the news docket this week.
Ready.
Turtle Arena 0.6 is released.
No!
It's unbelievable. It's a revolution in gaming, Brian. I'm excited to be one of the first people covering this on the internet.
You're screwing with me. This is awesome.
This is a 4-player, up to split screens, Ninja Turtles first-person shooter based on that open source Quake engine.
It's not a first-person shooter.
Well,
it's a third-person action game.
Okay.
So it's not, you basically, if you're looking at the video right now.
But you move through a world like a first person, because it's that camera stuff.
As if it were a third-person action game.
I guess you see the person.
Yeah, it's a third person.
Okay.
But still, the important part is,
kind of
Chris,
first person, right,
the
Brian?
important part, none of these, this battle we're having right now, it isn't important.
No.
What is important is that there are
Turtles.
Ninja Turtles on our screen running around playing Capture the Flag.
Yeah.
On Linux.
Yeah. That is really great.
Here's the thing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they probably don't have the IP rights to use Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
I don't know this for a fact.
Maybe we shouldn't be showing it then, 'cause,
but I love this. If whoever owns Ninja Turtles, the rights to them, need to get in contact with these guys if you haven't already, and give and bless them.
Be cool.
Bless them with money and love and Ninja Turtle costumes or something.
So it's got arcade mode and multiplayer,
Fantastic.
which every Ninja Turtles game should, and it's got a lot of the features that you'd expect from a Quake engine-powered game. So, multiplayer's in there, character customization's in there.
You can play as Raph.
Yeah.
You can play as Donatello. It's awesome.
That is really great, isn't it?
Oh.
So, link in the show notes for that. I'll also put a link in the live chat for those of you who want to take a look at it. There's a great Phronix write-up on it, with lots of screenshots and video.
It's actually funny. So I was playing this game for just a little tiny bit. I'm like, I got to try this out. What? And I couldn't find a server that had people in it. So I'm like, okay.
It was lonely, huh?
So then I went over and read the Phronix article. I'm like, oh, look at all these great screenshots and whatnot. They had the exact same thing. They're like, I don't know if it's broken or no one's playing this. I don't either. But here's the thing. If it is the problem that just simply no one is playing this,
we should fix that.
We should fix that because this is cool. I don't know how the gameplay plays out when you've got a bunch of people playing because I haven't been able to yet. But the idea is so solid.
Yeah.
I cannot contain myself.
It's pretty great. So,
unrelated note.
Yeah.
What's the deal with our chairs today?
I didn't notice.
I'm sitting on this thing. It has no back.
Oh.
It's got this little hole worn in it, kind of where I think your butt would be.
Huh.
And you've got this executive armchair deal going on.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
That's my TechSnap episode 52 chair.
What?
Well, we hit a year on TechSnap without interruption, so I got myself a new chair.
It looks like a dog's been eating it.
But see, I took a bullet for you, really. I was going to let you sit in it, but see, it's missing a wheel in the back, and I didn't want you to fall during the show. See, I got a piece of cardboard over there.
It's missing a wheel in the back.
See, you got an upgrade. You got a new chair. Look, you got this new chair.
There's no way this is a new chair.
It's got wheels.
It looks like a hedgehog attacked this chair with its hindquarters.
It's got adjustable height, which is...
Did this chair used to have a back?
Yeah.
Did it used to have arms?
Yeah, until I conceived children on it, and then we kind of broke it.
Yeah.
No.
Because this is ridiculous.
People, I just thought I wanted you to be comfortable. I don't know. I just thought, that's a good comfortable
It's
chair.
got some bounce to it, though. All right, let's talk about more stuff, because honestly, I am excited. If our first news item is a Ninja Turtle game for Linux, it's only uphill from here.
Oh, absolutely.
I shouldn't say that. It's only... This is coming out wrong.
It's only going to get better.
Well, no, see, that's just it.
It can't really.
It can't get any better. No. But now, anything else we do is going to feel great because it existed in the same week.
We're still shining.
We're still shining. Okay. We got the afterglow from the Turtles.
This actually is some good news. Kubuntu is finding a new home. Now, remember a couple of weeks ago, there you go, B-Man. A couple of weeks ago, we announced that Canonical would be ending funding for Kubuntu. And we weren't quite sure what was going to happen, though. We were expecting the community to step up. Well, this is interesting. A company named Blue Systems will now start sponsoring Kubuntu, starting with version 12.10. 12.10, not 12.04. 12.10, which the development cycle starts in May.
Yeah.
Now, the one individual at Canonical who did work on Kubuntu, after the Ubuntu's Developer Summit, will be quitting his job at Canonical and going to work as an employee for Blue Systems.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is really good. I mean, that is really great news. And so I looked into who Blue Systems was, and I was trying to figure out who they are. And if you're watching the video version, I have up their website right now, and it's pretty much just their logo and then the other projects they sponsor, which include Netrunner and Mint KDE, as well as KDE JTK Config, KDE Folder View. But one of the ones that I think people care the most on here is the KDE Menu Editor and also the Muon Software Center. I think that's how you say it.
Now,
but what I found interesting was
yeah. What does the company do?
Well, it's very vague. They supposedly sponsor these other projects.
This is awesome. I love all of this.
So I tried to look into their background. You know,
I want to give them money somehow.
I did like the typical who is stuff, and the two things that I came across were they might be directly linked to this Netrunner distribution, because also Netrunner covered the Kubuntu partnership announcement on their website. And Netrunner is a KDE-based distribution that is built on top of Kubuntu.
Oh,
and
so maybe they're sponsoring Kubuntu to keep it rolling.
Possibly, or the people who are behind Blue Systems are also the same people developing Netrunner, because I believe the Blue Systems also own an IT shop over in Germany. Now, I started looking into this Netrunner, and it looked really great. So we downloaded it here.
Actually, yeah, it does look.
And
this
distro, we've got it loaded up here in studio, and what it is it's KDE based. But they tout themselves as heavily integrated with GNOME, so that the two things exist really well, and also tight integration with Wine. So it's got apt on the back end because it's Kubuntu based. And wow, that looks like Windows 7.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is our first look at it because it piqued my interest, and I will say it's very beautiful. Bring up another window. Bring up like the My Computer window or something. Yeah,
that's where I was at.
Maybe so they do tout like really close integration with Wine. Maybe they're trying to make it some sort of crossed experience. One of the things that stood out on their forum, one of the things that stood out in their forum is people that were really happy moving to this distro. In fact, I saw a lot of posts, people saying, I'm home. This is amazing. This is beyond my expectations. I didn't think something built on top of something would be this incredible. So I was compelled to check it out.
That's Mint.
Yeah, which Blue Systems sponsors
the KDE Mint. Yeah. So
it's this interesting, and they in their forums they talk about working with KDE.
It does look pretty nice. Honestly, I haven't run this, but it looks nice at first glance. I have no complaints about it.
So like open up Firefox right there real quick,
sure,
because they talk about GTK apps are supposed to look like they belong in this desktop environment.
It's supposed to look native-y.
I guess
it looks like I'm running Firefox inside of Windows.
Yeah, I mean this really
inside
looks
of Windows 7 or Vista or something.
And this might, I know some distros try this as a strategy for Windows adopters, but that really,
it does look right.
Chat room, what say you? Does that look like Windows? Say yay or nay.
It looks like Windows with a kind of a pseudo GTK KDE theme going on.
But the KDE and GTK stuff do kind of match.
They do match, yeah.
Yeah, see, chat room says yay. Wow, look at that. Almost all
nice.
Yays.
They did nice. Yeah, no complaints. So yeah, I am curious more about Blue Systems now, because I mean, if they did provide like services or something to the Linux community, I'd love to give them a shout out.
And you can find more about the Netrunner distribution at netrunner-os.com. So there you go. All right,
cool
B-Man. Interesting story this week that you snagged. I totally even just missed my radar completely. Is Calligra 2.4 has been released, and
this is the first one since they've branded it Calligra. This is the first big official release.
Yeah. And the thing that's kind of, I think people remember some of the K-Office background story with all this kind of stuff, but the thing that's interesting to note is right out of the gate, they're coming with Calligra Words, which is a word processor, Calligra Sheets, presentation, diagrams, and that kind of stuff. So I decided to load it up here on the show, so we could just give a quick...
I love Calligra.
It's pretty basic, but it is a really nice
It's great.
It's
Man, this chair's uncomfortable.
You don't like that chair, B-Man? Oh, I thought you'd like that chair. Oh,
okay. I kind of dig the bouncy nature.
Yeah,
now,
all right,
now I'm getting into
it. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, talk. I'm gonna bounce.
This is truly a competitor to OpenOffice, really, or LibreOffice. I'm sorry, Internet. I'm sorry. You can see here. Here's their writers program, but the one that I liked quite a bit is their tables program, because it came with some good templates, like a meal plan and those kinds of things, and you can very much a KDE application. Those are my first impressions, but it's. Man, if you're on KDE, I would definitely consider using this over LibreOffice.
I love this.
But LibreOffice isn't great.
I've always been a big fan of K-Office, though. I mean, K-Office is fantastic. I love their flow charting app. Flow is great.
Here's Flow. Now, Flow needs some new stencils, I'll be honest with you, but what they do have in here is functional.
Oh, but the stencils they've got are great. Everything's very editable. You can create your own. It's fantastic. The one thing I want to point out about this Now, having an Office suite is nice, but if you're on Windows, you need something like Visio. If you're on a Mac, you need something like what's it called? OmniGraffle.
Okay.
On Linux, you get, this is like the premier flow charting, diagramming, system mapping tool.
Right.
It is, in the output that it spits out is so
good.
quality.
It's good.
They did such a nice job on this.
I just right there while you were talking, I just outputted my diagram to a quick little PDF.
Yep.
Boom, boom. No problem.
Boom.
So congrats to them, and it looks like a great project with some serious steam behind it. And really, the binary packages are pretty much available for just about every major distribution, including Arch, Fedora, FreeBSD, Ubuntu.
It's all of it. Yeah, they cover the bases. Yeah. And the thing I gotta say, and this applies both to the straight up K-Office as well as Calligra.
All right.
But they've always done a nice job of coming up with a new UI on a tried and true Office suite type app. So a spreadsheet, word processing, and whatnot. They don't go all crazy and come up with some sort of ribbons everywhere and things like that. But what they do is they kind of distill things down to their core, and they put them where they think is going to make sense. So instead of necessarily having just this gigantic toolbar up top, they put your tools where they think you're going to use them. So let's say off to the side, next to where you're scrolling your document. Have your tools there because your mouse is already right next to there. So you're moving the mouse less often. It's a lot of these little subtle enhancements that they've done that at first glance, you look at them and you look at a screenshot of their word processor, and it looks a little funny because everything's all sitting off to the side. It kind of looks like it has big margins on it.
Yeah.
But then you think about it, and the current realm of having a big widescreen where you don't have a lot of vertical space, but you got this huge horizontal space, this totally makes sense. Like, this just simply makes more sense.
Yeah, because basically every monitor you buy now is 16:9.
It's so wide. And when you want a word processor document, you want it more vertical. Some people even just turn their monitors on their side so they get more vertical space.
Yeah, they do definitely use up. You're right, man. This is definitely
the good use of space. Yeah. It doesn't feel cluttered. It doesn't feel empty. They just do a nice job.
Yeah, it's a good looking thing. And this I'm running under. It doesn't look under. It's probably would look a little better under a KDE desktop, but to get the screen capture, I'm using GNOME Classic right there to do
solid stuff. Anyway, big congrats to the team. Good job.
Yeah, good work, guys. And so check it out. All right, next story is an update for the Raspberry Pi fanatics out there. The first Raspberry Pi units have been delivered to school kids. There's the happy, Raspberry Pi owner.
That's a Raspberry Pi guy in a trunk full of Raspberry Pi.
That's pretty awesome, right? So there you go. The credit card-sized computer, says ZDNet, was delivered to schools in Leeds on Friday by one of the distributions of the device. So this is one of the resellers, and they're starting to stock up, man. It's really awesome. So it's happening.
Cool.
It's happening.
It's actually happening.
That's really my intention of having that new story in there. Is like, really, it's
really happening. Here's a picture of a guy with some boxes that may or may not contain them, and they're coming out of that trunk.
Probably. All right, let's talk about Chrome OS, because once again, it seems like we only talk about it when they're screwing up. And this next story,
when have they not screwed up with Chrome OS?
I don't know. Well, we'll see. Is this a screw up? You tell me, B-Man. And the Chrome OS.
All right,
folks,
tell me all about Chrome OS, which, if you'll remember correctly, its whole point for being is that it's a single web browser that's full screen and there's nothing else to it.
The web is the experience.
So when you turn on your computer, all you have is a full screen web browser, which is not that dissimilar to the Little, which you'll remember we reviewed here on the Linux Action Show about 3 years ago.
Web experience.
Full screen web experience. Google talked about how this is the future, full screen web experience with no Windows. They said that was important and critical. So let's talk about more about the new full screen web only, no window manager experience that Google is providing.
I gotta interrupt you. Actually, they're going to what looks a lot like Windows 7 with Lion's Launchpad laid on top of it. It's going to be a windowed desktop. In fact, here I'll give you even the buzzwords they used. Aurora is a hardware-accelerated user interface framework for Chrome UI that offers rich visuals, large-scale animation transitions, and effects that can be produced only with the assistance of hardware acceleration. Aurora is a cross-platform and should provide the foundation for flexible windowing systems at their shell for Chrome and Chrome OS on a variety of form factors.
Really?
So there you go.
Scroll down a little bit. I need a screenshot. What are we talking about
here?
There
you go. There's Chrome running in windowed mode. Right there.
Oh, wait, scroll down a little more.
Right there.
There we go.
Right there.
So it's just a standard desktop operating system now with less software.
Right.
So
this is some sort of windowing frame kit that they supposedly are going to use to make the Chrome desktop version more portable too. But at this point, now you're just rolling yourself a new Linux desktop, which they really were before, but now this is really what this is. Only they're sticking Aurora on top of it. So it's Linux with Aurora on top.
What the hell is this for?
I don't know.
It seems like it's something in search of a problem.
It seems like it's trying to go after. It seems specifically like it's trying to go after the same market that Canonical is trying to go after with Unity in the netbook area.
But I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like what? Why?
It's Aura, not Aurora. It's Aura. Aura.
So, I mean, but like why not, if you're Google, why not just take GNOME 3, which is already all webby, JavaScript-y, theme the bejesus out of it, and just call it a day?
Or Plasma.
And just ship it with less...
Or Plasma Active.
Or Plasma Active. But you know what I'm saying? Like, both of them are heavy into the JavaScript-y, which Google loves JavaScript. So go heavy into it and make it... You could make a GNOME 3 desktop or a Plasma Active desktop look exactly like that in like an hour.
I would not be surprised if they haven't laid a single line of code and these aren't mock-ups from a desktop like that. I mean,
no, I think you can download this right now.
Oh, I'm just saying. I mean, that's
what it looks like. Yeah.
All right.
So I don't understand though.
I don't either. I want to keep it's interesting because I think honestly it's Google competing with an area that they should be leaving to the Linux distributions to fill because that's growth that they could use. And I kind of wish Google would just focus on Android, drop Chrome OS, let the Linux distros fill that void. My thoughts. That's my thoughts. All right, B-Man, what do you say we give a state on Wayland? A little, we talked about it in our 2012 predictions.
Seriously, though, any listeners out there, if you work at Google or know someone who works at Google or can contact them
what are you doing?
Get them to explain to me what it is that they're trying to do or solve that you can't do with one of the 75 billion Linux distros and or window managers that you could just literally just copy. Just copy them. Just use them.
Contribute your fixes back to the open source community.
Or hell, don't even contribute them. Just use one that exists and just use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. But what do you I don't understand. And so are they saying that full screen doesn't matter at all anymore? Like that's not as important as it was
I'm sure
12
probably still
days
has
ago.
A full screen button, but yeah. And they still are contributing back to Linux with the underlying Chrome OS Linux underpinnings, but it seems like you're right. If they went with something GNOME 3, which could be designed and tweaked to meet exactly what they want here, then any of the usability or code performance that they did for low form factor devices,
it makes sense. Yeah,
would be contributed right back to the developers, right back to the community.
Man,
but instead they're building their own thing. Let's talk about Wayland.
Let's talk about Wayland.
So Wayland is,
it's the replacement for X Windows, for X Server.
And some people were claiming it was going to be at the end of 2011. Distributions would be dropping Xorg and switching over to Wayland.
Yeah.
And well, of course, we're not quite there yet, but
nowhere near there.
So
we're so very, very far away.
Am I reading this right? Here's what it says. This is the current state of Wayland. Wayland, the ability to run X clients within Wayland is currently broken.
Okay. Yes, kind of. So, all right. So there's a project, like a side project of Wayland called X Wayland that is a kind of a stepping
compatibility
stone.
layer for X.
It's basically they'll ship Wayland, and then they'll ship X Wayland that goes along with it that makes it easy to run X window based stuff on top of Wayland.
Like because
eventually they can just phase that part of it out, and then when it's no longer necessary,
because that'll happen.
That currently isn't working quite right. They had to kind of jiggy with it a little bit in order to make it kind of work.
They had to jiggy with it, huh?
So now currently you can run apps.
Yeah,
using Wayland.
There's even a screenshot here of it, right?
The whole video.
This is a video, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's you won't have all the window decorators and whatnot necessarily,
right.
But basically, here's what's running. GTK 3 applications are running with some caveats. Some latest KDE applications, I believe, are running with some caveats. Qt5. Clutter, I believe, is working properly.
Yeah.
And there are some issues still. Window decorators aren't quite there yet, but it is working, which is nice to see Wayland actually running.
It's a good stage, although I kind of wish we were at this stage a year ago, but I guess it is what it is.
See, this is like a year ago. We said, you know what, this isn't going to be happening this year. And a lot of people were like, dude, no, it's happening. It was even on the roadmap for a number of different distributions. And we're like, well, we don't even have videos of people being able to run more than a single app or two under Wayland. Well, now we finally do. This means things are really going to accelerate from here because honestly, at this point, they're fleshing things out and fixing bugs. So this is really good news. And this does look like it is going to happen.
Something else that will help Wayland move forward is their close ties with the Novu open source NVIDIA driver, which is getting very close to actually making it into mainline kernel. In fact, that is, B-Man, our next story on the news docket.
You just did a segue.
I did, B-Man.
Nice
there
job.
you go. So everybody remembers the open source NVIDIA driver, and we've talked about it for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
People have been working on it nonstop.
It feels like we've been talking about that since we started this show.
I know. They're considering, though, it's reaching a stable state where the existing staging area of the Linux kernel, and it's going to be moved into stable kernel configuration.
Awesome.
This is very exciting. Of course, we all remember some of the challenges that the Nouveau driver has had. In the past 3 years, the development, though, really picked up pace as distributions started running them. Like, we remember Fedora shipped with it. Out of the box, Linux graphic drivers also have been, new video card. The driver's been right there with support. That's been really good. But what really picked things up was in 2009, Linus called for the driver to be merged to the kernel. And once that kind of was done, it made it a lot easier once it was in testing for people to start trying the code, giving them feedback, and also just kind of getting that stink from Linus behind it, propelled it forward.
The Linus stink.
They're still playing catch-up in some areas, most notably with power management and GPU reclocking and other features, like in some cases, performance features. Yeah, so let's talk about the performance, because the guys over at Phronix are, they're benchmark machines, right? They run everything for a benchmark. Yeah. So they compared the current NVIDIA proprietary binary with the open source Nouveau driver, and in a lot of drawing tests, like here's Cairo. It did
That's not bad.
It did pretty good.
That's much better than it used to do.
So let's pick a mid-range cheapo card. Let's say the GTX 220, right? Yeah. Nouveau was able to crank out 7.85 draws per second, whereas the open source, or as the commercial one, went 1045. But jumping ahead, because those are all kind of whatever. Those are going to depend on a lot of aspects. What I found really interesting and a bit concerning was the Open Arena benchmarks. Not just because, with exception of 2 cases, did the NVIDIA driver significantly outperform the Nouveau driver. I mean significantly.
Holy moly!
Yeah, we're talking a
factor of 10 at least.
80 frames per second for the Nouveau driver and 432 frames per second for the proprietary driver.
4, but still.
Here's what the concern is, though: is Open Arena itself is not a particularly
It's not that demanding.
GPU intensive, or it's more actually in a lot of ways CPU intensive, and that is kind of the unfortunate aspect of it. Is it seems like there might be some crap in the way the driver works. Here's what Phronix's take was on it: is Open Arena 8.5 is not too demanding on the GPU, although version 0.8.8 was recently released that now is included in their test suite. So they're using a slightly older version. But in these tests, they say, for the most part, due to clocking differences and other problems, the Nouveau Gallium 3D performance is trash. And Gallium 3D is the user space part. Nouveau is the kernel space part. 3D, You go on to say, though, that of note, the GeForce 9500 GT and the GeForce GT 22 performance was actually better with the Nouveau driver, just based on how the thing shaked out with some of these benchmarks.
Interesting.
So if you were going to build a Linux box,
those are the ones to go with.
You weren't super concerned about 3D gaming, but you just wanted a 3D graphics card that you could get a great open source driver for things like 3D acceleration and stuff like that. It looks like if you go with the 9500 GT, or the GeForce GT 2200, both from NVIDIA, are sort of the Nouveau driver's sweet spot right now.
Wow.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. But they keep working on it. Couple of quick vulnerability stories. I'll just cover these ones briefly because we talked about these in TechSnap in quite a bit of detail, so I don't need to rehash it much here. But patch your Samba. Samba was hit with a significant flaw that allows for a remote attacker using a specially crafted packet to actually get root access to your box from over the network.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. Now, I've already told a lot of the Linux Action Show viewers to follow me on Google Plus about this, and they say they've been patching, but all versions from 3.0 to 3.63 are affected. It's been fixed in 3.64, so either go to that or hopefully your distro will release a patch for your version. It does not even require an authenticated connection either, so it's a pretty serious vulnerability.
Dude.
And Alan kind of broke down some of the technical details in TechSnap, episode 53. Also, I had one more vulnerability story.
It does seem like you had another vulnerability story.
There was one about Backtrack this week. I don't know, maybe I didn't bring it up, but if you're a user of the Backtrack distribution, it was a critical flaw found in the WICD component, which is actually how it's a component in dbus. dbus, communicating between apps. There's a flaw in dbus that apparently Backtrack is vulnerable to, which I think they're putting out a patch, or they already have put out a patch. And using this dbus flaw, you can actually get root access to a machine and take over the desktop. So if you use Backtrack, which is Honestly, one of the distribution live CDs that I think we're going to review shortly after Linux Fest, once we kind of get past that, because I love Backtrack. It's an amazing tool.
Backtrack is cool.
But if you use it, get the update. If you use Samba, which just about everybody does, including a lot of embedded devices, which we can't always necessarily patch.
Update.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Brian.
You know what I hate?
What?
I hate it when people get root access to my Linux boxes.
I know.
Because I have an old version of Samba.
I know.
That makes me feel like a bozo.
Yeah.
So
don't let that happen, folks.
You know what I should do?
Patch.
I should patch my Samba. Because you know what I haven't done?
Patch
my Samba.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's why I want to let people know. All right, so I would like to talk about games for a little bit.
Yes, please.
That's what the Liberated Pixel Cup, B-Man. Have you heard
love
of this?
I think this is great.
They're trying to raise $10,000, right?
Yep.
And they have to get to $5,000 by April 18th. They have only $1,920 to go. But what is the Liberated Pixel Cup?
Liberated Pixel Cup is basically a contest that is an excuse to create graphics and games with a particular pixel art, old school kind of pseudo side scrolling but technically top down role playing game style.
Right.
So the idea is it's a contest for people to make artwork in this specific style that there is kind of guidelines for, that will then be released to everyone, that they can use in whatever free projects they want to make games or anything else, and then a big series of people using it to make free software games. That's very cool.
They're working with Creative Commons, Open Game Arts, and the Free Software Foundation, and this is gonna be great. This is gonna be a great resource.
Can I say something?
Yeah, B-Man.
I think this is probably the best thing the Free Software Foundation has done in years.
Whoa.
And here's why. I don't mean that to say that they've not done anything. What I mean is this is producing something. This isn't going out and saying,
it's making code.
Look at that guy over there. He's negative in the freedom dimension and hates people. This is going out and saying, you know what? Let's spur the community. Let's create some amazing art. Let's create some amazing code and give it out
Produce
there.
code that's free and show people a pathway to use free software. And
yes, it's fantastic.
I completely agree with you.
I love it. So I'm totally psyched about this.
All right, let's talk about Shadowrunner. Shadowrun. 1 million in pledges guarantee a Linux port.
Linux port is coming for Shadowrun Returns. So if you know Shadowrun is awesome. Everything about Shadowrun is awesome. It is a post-apocalyptic role-playing game. If you've played the pen and paper version or the old console version or the it's a great game.
And it was a Kickstarter project.
And it's a Kickstarter project. A company, actually, I believe a company in Seattle, is building this. Is Shadowrun Returns.
Wow, and they've raised over $1 million.
Over $1 million. And they've pledged that they are going to be making a Linux version. Now, what they're doing is I think they're building the Windows and Mac version, and then they're going to be outsourcing the Linux port. But they say that they've brought in enough through the Kickstarter project to finance that and make that happen, which is so super awesome.
Yeah.
I am loving. You notice how many Kickstarter projects are starting up and going, hey, if we make $1 million, you can have Linux.
That's awesome.
I think it's going to be like a running theme right now. I think you could just put anything up there and go, if we get $1 million, you get it for Linux.
It's an interesting situation we find ourselves in now, because the commercial companies that produce the games were never willing to take the risk. But the way these Kickstarters are funded from the ground up,
takes the risk out of it.
It takes the risk away.
Isn't that so great?
It's awesome.
It's so fantastic.
B-Man, now this is a story that involves something you might be familiar with and potentially have some sort of association tangentially with.
Maybe.
But I think we'd talk about it if it wasn't even something that you had a tangential, somewhat association with remotely. We'd probably still cover it on the show, because it's big news. Linux Tycoon adding online play and coming to Android and another iOS. I haven't heard of that one, but I guess it's an operating system some people use.
Whatever.
Yeah. So you launched the game, huge success, lots of people love it, and you're going online. Tell me about it.
It's going online. So here's what we're doing. This is straight up. So Linux Tycoon is a good single player simulation game to build your own Linux distro. In this week, a new version is going to come out that will add an extra option that allows you to play online. Massively multiplayer, online, Linux distribution building simulation game. It is the first MMORPG game in the history of mankind.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying
you're releasing the online player server separately as a free thing.
Yeah. I got to talk about that.
Yeah.
So here's what I thought about. I got thinking long and hard about this. I'm like, I got to make a game, right?
Yeah.
I got to be able to earn an income from it. So I'm going to sell it for $4, make it cheap and whatnot. But I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to be like some of those big companies that produces a massively multiplayer game, and I'm reliant on that company to continue to run the servers forever. I want to be able to run the servers like I want to have a LAN party 30 years from now at my house with you and your grandkid, and we'll all can sit around and play a massively multiplayer version of Linux Tycoon.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And you don't have to rely on any one single company to keep it running.
Exactly. So, boom, Linux Tycoon server is coming.
That's cool.
Basically the same thing that I'm going to use to run the quote-unquote official Linux Tycoon server that you can just put up anywhere you like. On top of that, I launched something this last week called Scenarios for Linux Tycoon that basically is an XML file that you can edit where you can have Linux Tycoon have whatever packages you want in it. So you can name your own packages, give them your own stats, name your own computer-controlled distros, give them their own stats. So you could have a real-world, closely mirroring distro watch.
Say what?
Online, massively multiplayer game that you could have, 100 of your closest friends hop in and all compete against each other for, which of course, we're going to have a Jupiter Broadcasting official one.
I would think that'd be pretty mandatory.
The official Linux Action Show.
And you could have like distros that are based on different show names, and you could have
all sorts of crap. Yeah. But you don't even have to stick to Linux necessarily. You can totally throw in there if you wanted to run your own server. Windows XP, Windows 3.1, Mac OS 6, Amiga OS, Acorn, the Commodore DOS, Basic, anything you want. You can make it however you want. It basically becomes a giant build your own OS tycoon simulator that's massively multiplayer. So the first ever MMOLD BSG is coming this week.
And will the Android and iOS versions do the multiplayer
Of course,
stuff?
everyone connects to the same servers and worlds.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to have is we'll have on my website, you'll be able to go there and see a list of all the various servers you can connect to, who's playing, how many people are playing, leaderboards and stats and all that good stuff.
Cool.
And then you can just connect to whatever servers you want.
That sounds pretty awesome, B-Man. That's kind of exciting.
It's really great. This is getting a lot of attention from just people who play tycoon games that don't run Linux.
Yeah.
So now all these people out there,
a little Linux love out there.
Apps, websites like Touch Arcade, which covers just iPhone and iPad gaming, they're excited about it and talking about it. Apps that just cover Android games, they're talking about it and excited about it. People are debating about whether or not this is in fact the geekiest game ever conceived. People
love Linux. People love tycoon games. Can't go wrong.
It's so awesome. But what's great is even if it's a great introduction to Linux game. So if you've played a tycoon game before, but you've never used Linux, you can play this game and you get a general overview of, that's what a package is. This is what upstreams are,
learn what distros are. Yeah.
Exactly.
That can be a big stumbling block.
And even more importantly, it makes it less scary.
Yeah.
It just makes it fun. It makes it part of a game. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. It's currently for sale over at lunduke.com for $4. It's going to go up to, and brace yourselves, $5 when it's out of beta. And when I say it's in beta right now, it's very, very playable and fun. There's reviews all over the internet where people are like, this is the best game ever. I've wasted half the day on it so far. You can read similar comments from everyone from OMG Ubuntu to every gaming website out there lately. Yeah. People are liking it. It's only $4. Runs on Linux, Mac, Windows. Very, very soon. I'm talking I think it's a little less than 2 weeks. I'm going to do the Android launch. Here's the thing. You buy it for $4.
Yeah.
I'm going to add the Android APK for free so you can just download it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if people on an Apple App Store could do that?
Can't do it.
You can't do that. But Android, because it's not as locked down,
APK.
You check one checkbox, allow apps to be installed from Brian.
You get the OSs, and you get Windows, Mac, and Linux, and
Android.
That's cool.
Yeah, for $4.
That's nice.
Anyway, I don't mean to self-promote too much,
it's a cool deal,
I do love self-promotion. But seriously, this is so big.
Yeah.
So a full-on new genre of gaming. Say the genre. Say the genre real quick.
It is the massively multiplayer online distribution building.
You missed the L. There's a Linux distribution building.
Linux distribution building.
Simulation game. MMOLD BSG.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's good stuff. Anyway, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
There you go. All right. Well, I think it's time we wrap up the news here and we get a little how-to under our belts. I think probably everybody out there has at least a Gmail account they keep around for something. But if you notice, when you're in Linux and you're, say, farting around in Ubuntu's GNOME desktop,
I do that sometimes. Yeah.
And you click on a link, it doesn't open up Gmail.
What?
I know it. Well, Matt's here. He's going to solve that problem for us. And of course, this how-to segment was brought to us by System 76. They sent Matt, lucky dog, a Wild Dog Performance Machine, which he has loaded up and made his how-to machine. He's got all these kinds of stuff on there, and he's got even more in the works he's planning on, so I'm looking forward to that.
Can I say something here? Those folks at System 76 are cruel, cruel people. So
Dude.
I've gotten...
I've gotten so many emails, people saying like, hey, I'm going to get a System 76, or hey, I got a System 76.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. You remember that big Leopard Extreme box,
Dude,
that monolith
that thing.
tower? It was gorgeous.
The Leopard Extreme that we reviewed,
God,
that
it was
monster.
so good looking.
I know.
The guy who
I know.
put it together, like that sent it, that one to us, the guy who assembled it, sends me this thing. He's like, hey, remember that one that you love? Yeah, I built that. I'm like, seriously? So not man, here it is for you. Not don't worry, I'll send it back to you.
That just twists.
It just twists. It's one of those. It's one of those cool knives that it's like all sloopy, and he sticks it in and he turns it and it makes orange juice.
And then the laser. Wait,
I hate the laser.
So, anyways, thanks to System 76 and the Wild Dog Performance, which has been a real trooper while we've been banging through these. So, thanks to those guys. Let's toss it to Matt.
Man, I've got to sell a lot of Linux Tycoon to buy one of those.
Yeah, I hear you.
A ton of Linux Tycoon. Oh.
Thanks, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about, well, it's a very sensitive moment for me personally. I go to a web page to click a mail to link. Let's say I want to contact my local paper and find out, I don't know why my paper boy's been throwing my newspapers away in the garbage can or been hiding them, or for whatever reason, I'm needing to contact somebody that has mail to link. Getting back to the bigger point. On Ubuntu, when you try to do such a thing, you're going to find that you click a mail to link on a web page and it's going to open up something like Thunderbird or Evolution, depending on the version of Ubuntu you're running or how you have yourself set up. But that's not what you want. What you were trying to do is you were trying to get it to open up in Gmail or Yahoo or any one of the webmail clients. And, that's not always working for you. So we're going to talk about how you can get that done on Ubuntu despite a bug that a lot of people have found to be quite annoying. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. If I actually come into the Software Center, and I've already, of course, installed it, but so we'll just jump ahead to the desktop webmail client that will pop up here for you. Once you've installed desktop webmail, it will basically pop up with one of these to where you can set up what you want, so on and so forth. Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, most people already know about this, but there's a problem that I'm going to address for you. Once you've got that selected and you choose not to have it ask you again, so it can be automatic, and then you go to your system info and you go to your default applications, that ain't good. You're clicking mail, but it's not an option, but you installed it. So what's going on, right? I mean, you've done your part. You've installed the software to make that a mail option, but it's not working for you. Well, I'm going to show you not only why it's happening, but what you can do about it. Basically, what's happening is inside of your user share applications folder, there's a file missing with the version that is basically offered in the software store. So what we're going to do is we're going to install a different version using an Ubuntu PPA. So we're going to go ahead and grab this because that way I don't have to type. That's good. So we'll go ahead and pop that into a terminal and we will enter my ultra secret password here. And we'll say, yes, I would like to do that. And we'll go ahead and let that sucker run and do its keys and all that good stuff. Now we're going to go ahead and do a apt-get update. And when that is finished, we will then paste in, yes, I would like to install desktop webmail yet again. Yep. Oh, and absolutely. Everything's going to be in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about like trying to write this down as I'm doing it. It's all going to be in text for you. So you can just copy and paste just like I do on TV. Hit enter. Boop, boop, boop. It's going to do its thing. And dun, 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 dun. Wait for it. There it is. Okay. So on the on Ubuntu, so we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and drop back into desktop webmail. And I will actually, now I have two settings for it, but basically we'll get into that in a minute. Go ahead and click onto here, and that is now going to open up Gmail. Okay, so not that I want it to do whatever it's trying to do there without bars and other weird things, but anyway, so we'll go ahead and do that again. Click into the configuration. There There we go. So again, I have Gmail all set up and everything and all that good stuff. But what's more important is if I go into my system info again, now I can select that as my default. So why do you care? Okay, let me show you exactly what this looks like in reality. Now here I am at the Seattle Times, and by gosh, they've screwed me over. I'm looking for my paper, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I need to, well, maybe I just want to rant at somebody, and I'm going to email them directly about maybe getting a back issue or something, whatever it may be. I'm going to go ahead and click on a link, like so, and it's going to open up my little fictitious LAS mail account here. It's going to have already pre-filled out everything for me. It has the address it's going to go to. I can fill in my subject and send off the mail, and it's good to go. It opens automatically, and I don't have to do anything anymore. So that's kind of awesome. Why? But again, why is that happening? Coming back to it full circle, it's because there was a file missing in user share applications. That's all it is. And you can do that manually. You can actually skip all this and actually create that file yourself. But honestly, who wants to do that when you can just, let the software do it for you? So that's really my big thing, is to make sure that that's not going to be a problem for you. Now, some considerations is this going to break later on when you do an update or something like that? The only way this should ever change on you or create any problems is if you're actually constantly updating the desktop webmail application itself. I don't think it will ever be a problem. And if it is, I'll address that in a future segment because it'll affect me personally, and believe me, I'm going to address that, but I don't think it will. I think for the most part, it's been caught and it's not going to be duplicated again. So you should be good to go. Once you have it set up, that's it. And if at any time you want to change that in the future, go back to your system info and your default applications. And by the way, if you're wondering where all this is that I'm jumping around to, all I'm doing is going to the system settings, and I'm simply going to my applications. And when I type app, it brings system info, and I can hit default applications from there and select what I need to do. Now, because this is, in fact, a System 76 PC that they are letting us use, because they are awesome, awesome sponsors for us, I don't actually put my own personal Gmail account in here myself. However, I did set up a demo so that, just if you're wondering what this LAS mail thing is, nothing I'm ever going to check. It's just one I created for this purpose. So that's really all there is to it. Set it, forget it, use it, enjoy it. Live life. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Matt, for the tip.
Right.
So that brings us to the end of this show.
Yeah.
And it was good.
It's a good show.
A lot of people watched it.
Yeah.
Liked it.
Yeah.
Thought about liking it some more.
Yeah.
Did. And then recommended it to their friends.
I felt like this was a good calm before the storm show because, next week we got the Ubuntu 12.04 review, and then the week after that we're going to be all over a Linux Fest Northwest.
It's going to be crazy.
That's crazy.
Linux Fest Northwest is always tiring. It's so much fun, but I just leave exhausted.
Yeah. Well, that might be because of the amount of beer we usually drink while we're there.
See, I don't drink beer anymore.
I know. I don't either.
I don't know what it's going to be like going to Linux Fest sober.
I think I'm going to break my beer rule for Linux Fest.
If you go back and you watch all the past Why Linux Sucks videos, pretty doggone drunk in all
Usually
of them.
a few beers.
Yeah, a few sheets to the wind, to say the least. This time, I'm going to be sober as... What's the soberest thing you can think of?
I can't.
A doily.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sober as a doily.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but something will explode.
First thing that came to mind was a horse. I don't know why.
A horse?
You might want to avoid that.
I don't want to do that at all.
And the other thing is, shortly after Linux Fest, I'm kind of thinking like Friday the 4th of next month, but I don't know yet. We'll be launching our new show, Unfilter. It's still dialed in. I'm figuring once I get through Linux Fest and through the Ubuntu review, I'll have headspace available for
It is a show about public drinking water.
No, it is not.
Oh, really? Because I've looked at the...
No. I know, it's great, though.
That's a good logo.
What that is knowledge coming out of the faucet there.
Oh.
Yeah, that's knowledge dripping, and then the eye is the viewer or listener's head.
Because I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like water.
Knowledge getting dripped on them. They're getting a
little
little knowledge dripped. And then they're soaking up the knowledge via osmosis.
Kind of looks like water dripping on
which
their
is my
head.
way of it's like
water
listening
torture.
is osmosis.
So you're saying the show's like water torture?
No,
with knowledge.
No, it's like
you're getting knowledge torture.
Drowning in knowledge.
Drowning in knowledge.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. So you're gonna want to tune in.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much you want to. You're going to feel compelled to. It's going to feel like torture, but you're going to do it every week.
Yeah. There you go. So I can't think of a better pitch for that show. That's going to make people want to tune in.
That's fantastic.
But
I'm going to take this to the networks.
That'll be coming soon, so look forward for an announcement about that. But B-Man, I think that just about wraps us up.
God, I hope to God it does,
Yeah.
because I am tired, and I'm pretty sure everyone listening to the show is going to want to go play Linux Tycoon right now from Lunduke.com.
You know, we should say, if in case we don't know when people are catching this, if you want to catch up with us at Linux Fest, probably the two best avenues would be Google Plus
And Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll try to let people know where I'm at, what's happening, and whatnot. There's almost always a lunchtime meetup where we go out and grab a burger or some pizza, and we usually go over to like the Chuck-a-Nut or one of the various other microbrews places, and it's tons of fun.
You'll see me for sure. I'll be walking around with a camera. B-Man will probably have a camera most of the time.
I may or may not have a blazer and a scarf on.
Maybe.
I'll be the guy wearing glasses. So what you'll do is you go to Linux Fest, you go to a real big nerd festival, look for the guy wearing glasses.
Right.
That'll be me.
If you see a guy with the same hair that you see now, that's me. That's kind of how that'll work. So you'll know it's me. All right, everyone.
You know you can't ever change your hair now.
It's just how it is.
It's like a thing. See, I've had it set up, period, where people are like, whoa, Brian finally got a haircut. Whoa, Brian looks ridiculous today. Whoa, Brian should really shave. Like, so every day I look different because I don't care.
I'm a system admin at heart. I come from 100% uptime. I'm steady and...
You come from 100% uptime.
I take the system admin approach to hairstyling.
To be honest, dude, I don't think I've ever met a sysadmin who was like, you know what, my hair is going to have 100% uptime.
I strive for 100% uptime across the board in all aspects of life. Bro.
All aspects.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Linux Action Show.
You're a damned inspiration, man. Right there.
This inspiration will be right back here next week.
Yep.
Linux Action Show 205.
I don't really need a keyboard right here.
Look at you. You just are like declaring. Distraction-free man. I like that. I know, it's nice. You can roll now. It's nice, right?
Heck yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.